Hey everyone, welcome to DevRunner. My name is Paul. I'm an endurance runner and an RRCA certified running coach, and this is Subscriber Spotlight, where I talk to inspiring runners to help motivate you on your running journey. My guest today is an ultra runner from Texas. His YouTube channel delivers training and race vlogs and thoughtful gear reviews that I always find really helpful. So it's my pleasure to welcome Jay from the Old Ultra Runner channel. Jay, thank you so much for being here today.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate being here. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching you for years, so it's kind of it's a thrill for me to actually, we converse all the time through comments, but I think it's kind of fun just to sit down and actually one-to-one have a conversation. And as I was saying before we started rolling tape here, I think we have a lot of the same audience on YouTube. So I think there'll be a lot of people who really enjoy this conversation. So just to get started, sir, I'm really hoping that you can provide a short bio, who you are, where you're from, anything else that you think will really help people to know about you right from the start.
Okay, I'm just I've lived in North Texas my whole life. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've been a long time runner. I started running in the late 80s. So it's at 20, wow. 30 something years. I'm married to a wonderful wife, Kathy. I've been married for 28 years. I have 2 children. I have a daughter, Julia, who's 22, just graduated college, and a son that just turned 19, who just graduated high school.
Wow.
That's kind of where I'm at. And I retired. I was a IT person for 36 years. I retired about 2 years ago from doing that stuff. And now we'll talk about it later, but I kind of got involved in YouTube because I wanted to continue learning. I wanted to talk to people about my running. I also work now part-time at a part-time running store. I'm a caregiver for my mother who's ill, and is elderly now. So just trying to stay busy and enjoy things. So,
wow, it's amazing to me how much we have in common. I'm an IT guy. I haven't quite retired yet, but I'm inching ever closer. And it sounds like we have a little bit more in common in the sense of it sounds to me like you're right on the verge of being an empty nester. So that's going to be a big adjustment.
I may be here for a while. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So thank you for all that background information. That's a lot of it that was news to me. So it's very cool. So Jay, I just want to jump right in and talk a little bit about your athletic background and maybe how that led you into running in the first place.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was always real active, probably more doing team sports. My first love was baseball. I played baseball from, really playing catch with my dad much younger, but then started playing baseball when I was 7 or 8. That was the first time they let us play back then. And my parents also were bowlers, big time bowlers. And I started bowling from a young age. I actually played baseball up until high school. A lot of my friends that I played with went on to play in high school and college. I probably could have been at that level, but when I got into high school, I started working at the bowling alley and really concentrated on my bowling. And I became a just below professional level bowler there for a while.
Wow.
My plan at the time was to go pro and while going to college, bowl during the summer, go to pro tour events. But I stopped working at the bowling alley, wasn't practicing as much, and I kind of got into a slump and wasn't doing that well. So that kind of ended my bowling career.
Okay.
But I still have fun doing it I haven't bowled probably in 5 years at all, but.
Well, it's funny. I had like probably a 20-year bowling drought in my life, and I just went bowling with a bunch of people at my company not 2 weeks ago. It was a scary experience. I can't believe how bad I was.
I would be horrible right now, I think. But that was I spent a lot of time doing that. So, but other than that, we just always had, I played football for a year. I played basketball a few years. We always had the neighborhood kids. We'd have games going. Our street wasn't real busy, so we'd have neighborhood baseball games out in our street almost every night during the summer and stuff like that. So it was just an active childhood. And my parents were always real active. We owned a lake lot. We'd go out there and camp and fish and water ski and stuff like that. So we
Oh,
just
great.
active most of the time. So
That's great. So I'm dying to know how all this eventually led to running.
well, I first started. I went to college. I got out. I was living on my own for a while and just really kind of was bored. I wasn't really interested in the bar scene or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I ended up going and buying a bicycle. I started bicycle riding first. And I got a bicycle and was in a bicycle club. And then I got interested in doing triathlon a little bit. But then there was a group, and I did a few triathlons, but there was a group that did the cycling that also did this thing called Hash House Harriers, which is basically like this people lay trail and you run all over the place. You follow this trail wherever it goes, and there's a lot of drinking involved. But a group of them were also training for a marathon, and they would meet on Wednesday nights, eat pasta, and then go for a run, do a little longer run, 8 or 10 mile run. I started just showing up socially, and
Okay.
I really enjoyed that. So I started running more and more. And then by the time, well, fast forward another 8 or 10 years, my kids came around, and it was just a lot easier to get out to run than it was to take this bicycle. It wasn't real safe where we were to bicycle straight from home. So I was always having to drive places. So I started running more and more, and then just came to love it, and had all my goals become more running goals. So
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you came, at least briefly, it sounds like, through the triathlete angle before you were just dedicated to running.
yes, I was a very poor swimmer though.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And we got too much in common, it sounds like. But Jay, let me ask you this. I'm dying to know where did it happen along the way where you kind of went from, like a road running guy to the way you're more famously known now as like an ultra and even trail type of guy?
Yeah, I don't know. I was a road runner at first, but I never could really run the times I wanted to. I was always getting injured in the early days. I never could get above about 35 miles a week or I'd get hurt.
Gotcha.
And but I always also loved just being outside. So there was some local friends that were started with there was the North Texas Trail Runners that started in my area in the late 90s, early 2000s. And some of my friends were doing that. So I started showing up and running with them, and I really enjoyed being outside in the woods and doing it. But I was still primarily a road runner, but I just couldn't stay healthy. I really kind of had as far as running long distances, I did a few events in the early 2000s, but I was usually still doing shorter trail runs.
Okay.
But when you got to around 2009, the Born to Run stuff started. And I was looking for some way to not get injured all the time. And I came to thinking it was my heel striking so hard. I really don't believe that now. I heel strike some now, but I thought it was that I was overstriding a lot. And I've shortened my stride, and I strike a lot less, and I don't get repetitive stress injuries anymore. I haven't now for several years.
Makes a
So
lot of sense.
I've been able to increase my distance. And then I was able to start doing longer events. I ran some of my best marathons right after I finally kind of changed my form, changed my stride. But then I also did a few, since I knew all these trail runners that I was hanging out with, I started going to some of the 50Ks and some of those events. And then I challenged myself with the 50 miler. And that's kind of how I enjoyed those events. So I've kind of moved more that direction. I still run on the roads a lot. I actually run on the roads more for most of my training is probably on the roads. I do more of my races on the trails, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine, well, let me ask this. I don't want to assume anything. Like, when you do race on the trails, are we talking about, do you prefer like the technical kind of trails where there's just a whole lot of like, well, you better watch where your foot is landing every time, or more like the groom trail type of thing?
I was preferring the rocky, more technical stuff. I'm becoming a little older and a little less nimble. I'm
with you.
easier and more groomed. to be honest. So I kind of look for some that I still will run some of the harder trails, but I won't go real long distance when I do those. I'll do more like a 25K, so 15 miles up to maybe a 50K. But if I'm going to do something longer, I want it to be an easier trail, so I'm less likely to hurt myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I managed to hurt myself recently on a road ultra. So yeah, it doesn't take much. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Um, so let me ask you this, and I'm not asking this question from the what are your PRs type of perspective. But I'm really curious to know what you consider the highlights of your running history. And, even coming from like a more of a emotional impact type of angle.
Well, I have to admit, I've never been very fast. I was never really very competitive, but I did have a lot of fun. Probably in my mid to late 50s, I started doing these fixed time events where you just run as far as you can in a certain amount of hours. And I
Gotcha.
found out I was competitive in them. So I actually was on the podium in several of those races. And that has to be my highlight because
That's
I
awesome.
where all these years, I mean, I'd placed in a few 5Ks, local 5Ks and stuff, but to all of a sudden be like on the podium in a 24-hour race or a 48-hour race, and I was mid to upper 50s. I guess that's kind of a highlight. So.
Oh, that's awesome. That just goes to show. I mean, as we age, there's always a way to excel. I think the mindset as you become more mature is you have the ability to just stay slow and steady and just grind it out.
Well, so
So
much of that is just mental, and then knowing how to take care of yourself. I mean, there were people that were ahead of me that should have beaten me, but they didn't know how. They ended up not taking care of their bodies and ended up with bad chafing or blisters or whatever, and then you just keep plodding along and you end up passing them eventually. So that's kind of
yeah,
where I'm headed.
exactly. Yeah, I learned that lesson the hard way during my first ultra experience just a couple of months back, where yeah, I think I was a little too gung ho and ended up getting a little too tired out there, and as a result, one slip up and I paid the price. So
It's easy to do though. So.
yeah, I'm with you. So Jay, I got to ask you this: what motivates you now as a runner? What are your future running goals?
My biggest goal now is just I want to. I mean, I really run mostly now to stay healthy. It's a big mental thing. I just try to most days get out and do something. I want to keep moving. I still do have some races coming up, but my primary thing it's probably more social now. Just I enjoy
Okay.
visiting with my friends that are also runners and hanging out and talking. I mean, I have a half marathon here in a couple weeks that I hope to do fairly well, but I'm not really trained to run anything super time. And I've got a 50K on the trails that should be pretty technical toward the end of October. But I guess my biggest goal for this fall period is I'm doing another 24-hour race the first weekend in December. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I have to ask this because, people know both of our channels. They know that the two of us have to deal with sort of that southern heat. I think for me, the bigger challenge is the humidity. I know you have drier air out your way, but it's so much hotter. So by the time you go after that 24-hour race in December, do you expect to have decent temperatures or?
It should be in early December in Texas. It could be in the 20s it could still be 70s. It's just 70s or 80s. I did it a few years ago and we got up in the 80s and it was tough because you were getting more used to cooler temperatures. If I had 80s right now, it's really a lot hotter, but that was tough. But we'll see. I mean, but on average, that time of year, it should be 40s or 50s, which would be ideal. So.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, best of luck to you. I know I just like following your weekly updates as well on your channel just to see how you're doing with your training and stuff. And, I think you always do a very good job of listening to your body and only training to where you are at the moment. And that's what your example has really kind of readjusted my outlook on that. And so let me just thank you for that right now.
I wish I could get my volume up a little bit more right now, but we'll.
Yeah, I mean, it'll come. Just don't push. Never push too hard.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. I think that kind of leads me into the next question. What do you do for strength training and for cross training, core type of stuff?
I mostly do body weight exercises and kettlebell stuff is what I do.
Oh, wow, great.
And I'm probably doing it 3 days a week. It's usually, 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, probably 3 days a week. And it's a variety of kettlebell things. And then I'm mostly doing a lot of things that kind of, some of it is core on the ground, and some of it is I'm doing just some stretching sort of stuff, because I have had some trouble with some, what do you call it? The pain in your rear. Anyway, my brain is going dead right now, but
yeah, we'll edit it in later. I'll put it in, in text.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing that. I think as we age, it becomes more and more important to maintain strength.
I don't do something, my back ends up starting to bother me a lot, so I need to keep doing some stuff.
Yeah. For me, it's my hips. As soon as I stop, it's just all over. So that's great to hear. I'm going to switch gears a little bit here, Jay. I'm kind of interested in the other side of your channel, which is, of course, you wouldn't have a channel if it wasn't for YouTube. So what got you interested in being a YouTuber?
When I started the YouTube channel, I was just about to retire. I was just a few months before it, and I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I got interested because I watched a lot of YouTube channels. I wanted the idea of trying to share some of the things I've learned through my running. But I also wanted just the ability to keep learning. And I thought I knew nothing about video, nothing about really speaking to a camera. I'm still not great at it, but I'm enjoying the process of trying to get better at it. So part of it for me is just to have something interesting to do. I love the interactions with the people that watch, and with like you and Richard and the other YouTubers. I really enjoy the interaction, and that's really the reason I do it. So
yeah, and let me say, just in all truth, you come across very, very naturally on camera. One of the things that I really appreciate about your channel, and a handful of other people, is that whatever you say, I can trust. You don't come across as like this fast talking, let's keep it slick. You come across as like, hey, I've just got this new shoe. Here are my thoughts. Here's the way I use it. And I know when I'm finished watching that video, I've got a real solid opinion. So again, thank you for that.
When I do it, I'm not trying to be a salesman by any means. I'm just trying to share my experiences with things. Is kind of where I come from. So
yeah, and it comes across very much so.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. So sir, I'm going to continue trying to help people to get to know you a little bit better. I'm just wondering if you have any hobbies or interests outside of running that people might find interesting.
Really not much that I've not already talked about. I pretty much stay busy doing things with my kids.
Gotcha.
My son has been involved a lot in scouting over the years, so we'll go on scouting campouts and things like that. Working at the running store, playing with my YouTube channel. I do still enjoy watching some sports on TV. I don't spend a lot of time on that because just my other activities seem to take up a lot of that time. And I guess over the last few years, it's collecting certifications that I don't use.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I got a personal trainer certification just before I retired too. So I'm a NAS
that's great.
certified trainer, though I don't use it. I am an RRCA running coach.
I did know that.
And then I've done the USCA ultra running coach certification. So
wow, that's great.
So I got all kinds of stuff that I'm not really using, but I enjoyed learning it. And I was not sure if I wanted to. I thought I might want to do coaching, but I just am enjoying sharing information on YouTube and enjoying working at the running store now. So I don't really need to add more stuff right now for myself personally.
I gotcha. Yeah, it's funny because when I did my RRCA certification a couple of years back, it was very much my main motivation was like just to gain the information, to make sure that I was learning the best knowledge that was out there, the scientifically proven, borne out type of stuff, so that I didn't even take my own training down the wrong road. And it was very soon afterwards that I realized, I'm actually getting more satisfaction out of helping others to achieve their running dreams. And I've just absolutely loved it. So, if you have any interest, as maybe, if any time becomes available to you in the near future, that'd be wonderful to see you, take up some coaching for other runners as well.
I might do it at some point. Right now, I have fun. People come in and ask a question in the running store, and I just jabber on. I give them
I gotcha. Yeah, I'm the same way.
but I'm not really writing up full training plans or anything like that. I just share.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Bit,
I got you. Very cool. So, Jay, I want to ask you a question that's a little bit more philosophical at this point. How has running changed your life for the better?
I would say it's kind of just really keeping me active. All the years working in IT, I felt like I was sitting all day and not moving, and just feeling like getting out and moving and being outside is just a huge part of it. It also gives you goals to work for that you feel like you're making some progress on, as opposed to, I mean, you can have work goals, but it's not quite the same. It's a team environment, and I like feeling like some of it's more accountable straight to me.
I'm with you.
I also have enjoyed just the adventures. We'll go out of town to go to a race or something like that. It's a good reason to travel and see different things. And then just the friendships I've made have been wonderful.
100% with you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's something about the running community that is so overwhelmingly positive that I've never, in all my other areas of interest, my other hobbies that I've, taken up and left in life, I've never seen more positivity coming out of a group of people than when it comes to runners.
Yeah. I think it's something about just you're getting out there moving and staying accountable for your, it's just, I think it's a great group of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let me ask you, I guess it's a more practical question than the last one. Something to help the other runners in the community who are watching this right now. I'm hoping you can pass along, it can be like one shining piece of advice, or it could be a whole suite, whatever you want to pass on that you think will help everybody.
Mine is pretty simple, and it probably is pretty similar to what I said before, but it's to stay consistent, keep yourself moving. I early on in my running, I would run, I'd get injured, I'd be off for months. And then I'd come back, and then it was always hard getting back. But now if you can just keep plugging away and stay consistent, it makes such a difference. Yeah. And then also just keep it fun. Come up with different sort of goals, and whether it be going on a particular adventure or shooting for a 5K time or shooting for a marathon time, just pick different goals. It's more fun than just trying the same thing over and over.
Absolutely.
It a little bit. So
yeah, variety is the spice right there.
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jay.
Opportunities to switch it up a little bit.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it really does keep it interesting. Like the training you do, like you're saying, for a 5K is so utterly different than when you're trying to just be able to cover 50 miles. It's like,
that's right.
Yeah, it just keeps it very interesting. But sir, I want to give you the opportunity. First of all, let me thank you for doing this. It was really, I think you did a great job of keeping this succinct, but I feel like I know you so much better in the short time that we've been speaking. But I want people to know you a lot better. I want them to start following you on your YouTube channel. And so everybody, go to the Old Ultra Runner channel. There will be a link. By the time you're watching this, I will have a link directly to Jay's channel in the show notes below. So please click on that, and then do me a favor and go get yourself subscribed to his channel. It's just really good, high quality, personalized content, and I've been enjoying it for a couple of years. So I know you'll love it just as much as me. But Jay, I want to give you the opportunity here to share all of your social media outlets. Where can people find you?
I really don't have a whole lot. So, but thank you so much for Paul for having me on and saying all those nice things.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
But I really just am the Old Ultra Runner on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram as the Old Ultra Runner.
Okay.
And then if anyone wants to follow my training, I'm just Jay Teinert, Teinert on Strava. That's pretty much all.
Perfect. Perfect. That's awesome. So guys, everybody who's watching, all those links are below. So no excuses. You're a click away from some really fun stuff. So Jay, again, thank you for being here. Have a great night, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate it.